Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Settle for More podcast. I am super excited to be recording my very first podcast. At the beginning of 2018, it was one of my goals to be able to create a podcast. I listen to so many podcasts. I have been inspired by so many podcasts, and it often just came across so seamless. It sounded so great. It sounded so professional, and I was really afraid to really step out and to do my own. However, I've decided that I was going to be brave enough and bold enough and just to show up as I am, believing that I was more than enough, and really create this space just for women who are ready to walk out on their fears and step into their dreams, giving themselves permission to be exactly who they see while shifting the mindset of not being enough to becoming more than enough, creating a purposeful and fabulous life, and of course, settling for more while they do that. So, I want to just take this opportunity to welcome you to my very first recording and to say thank you so much for joining me. So, let's talk a little bit about me. I was so afraid to do this, I wasn't sure what I wanted to say. I wasn't sure how I'd come across. I wasn't sure if I would trip upon my words. It's been years since I've been in the recording studio, and even though I do videos almost every day, sitting down, getting my thoughts together, and really recording a podcast for me was hard because I wasn't sure how it would be accepted. And one of the things I realized was that I just had to show up as me authentically, which brings me to my very first topic, which is authenticity. So when I think about authenticity and how free I'm actually feeling now, it gives me the ability to truly define what authenticity is. And authenticity to me is really about enjoying a new sense of freedom. And that's freedom in really being who we truly are. And that's really being yourselves actually. It's being your natural self. It's without wearing a mask. And we're talking about a mask in our relationships. We're talking about a mask at work. We're talking about masks just in everyday life. It really takes courage and commitment and depth to really look within ourselves, to really tell the truth about who we are, to really expose ourselves, so to really be vulnerable, to really admit and share our thoughts, our feelings, our desires, our insecurities, our passions, things that embarrasses us, our dreams, and so much more. However, one of the things that I've come to recognize is that being open and being real about all of your feelings and more is really what it means when you have decided to step into your power and to live an authentic life. So, in order to utilize the power of authenticity, in your life or as a way of life, what it truly means is that you have to be willing, you have to be ready to really step out there and enhance your relationship. It will increase the fulfillment and empower yourself to really be able to show up as you. And so, for my very first podcast, what I wanted to be able to do was to share some key principles or to share with you tips and strategies that you can start implementing on a daily basis just so you're showing up as you authentically. And so the very first step in being authentic is really knowing yourself, knowing exactly who you are. This is the first essential aspect of your journey to live a more authentic, a more meaningful, a more fulfilling life, and to really know who you are at your core, at the deepest level. Knowing yourselves is really taking the opportunity to go deep. It is a lifelong process, and it is a process that you have to be very deliberate about. However, once you start growing into your true self and once you start knowing who you are, And it can be a little tricky, but what it means is that you're knowing your story, you're knowing your issues, you're knowing the things you like, you're understanding what you believe in, you're being fully aware of yourselves and about the way you're projecting into the world. It's really getting down to core values. What is important to you? What are your belief system? What beliefs are you holding about the world? Right? What are the things that are important to you? What are things that value? How are you that you value? How are you making your decisions on a daily basis? Right? What are some things that you're not in agreement with? What are some things that you hold close? What are some things that you truly value? Do you value friends? Do you value family? What are some things that are just non-negotiable for you? And then asking yourself, how do I want to be perceived? How do I want the world to view me? Am I showing up as me? Am I being free? Am I allowing people to see me without my mask and then deciding for themselves if they want to be a part of my life or not? Because one of the dangers that we run into is that when we're not showing up as our authentic selves and we're showing up as different individuals on a daily basis, the truth is that we're not being who we were called to be, and we're not being who we are. And so people are falling in love with something or someone that is inauthentic. The danger of this is that any day that mask that you're wearing falls off, what will happen is that you will start to lose a lot of friends, a lot of credibility, a lot of relationships. And so what happens is that it is important that you make a conscious decision to remove the mask that you're wearing. And all of us wears a different mask dependent on what we think the situation is requiring. So many times we act one way on the outside, but we're actually another way on the inside. And because we all have weaknesses, because we all have faults, because we all have fears, and because there are things that we think that other people uh, are not liking, the things that we see as less desirable, what happens is that we rather hide them from other people, and so we tend to be wearing these different masks. And like I mentioned before, the danger of mask is that it is misrepresenting who we are as individual. So what people are seeing is not true, is actually a lie. And it is not who you were born to be. So we work so hard to change who we are on the outside, but we can't change who we really are deep down or on the inside. And so what you need to realize is that vulnerability is a gift. And so, the minute you make that decision to no longer wear a mask, the minute you make that decision that you're exhausted, the minute you make that decision that you're tired, the minute you make that decision that you want to show up just as you are, the minute you've made that decision that you believe that you are enough, the minute you make that decision that you will now stand boldly into the things that you believe in, is the moment that your life will change and you will start to live an authentic life. One of the beautiful things about living an authentic life is that you will now start to attract the things that are really in alignment with your core values, the things that are really in alignment with the things that you desire, the things that are really in alignment with the things that you deserve. So I want you to understand that beneath the mask that you're wearing, or the different masks that we wear, dependent on the situation, lies something that is just phenomenal. I remember when I wanted to do videos, I'm like, okay, my hair doesn't look right, my makeup doesn't look right, I don't feel right, my background isn't right. But if I'm pretending each day, and if I'm not showing you a glimpse of my life or a glimpse of my family, or if I'm not showing you moments when I'm all not done up, when my wig is twisted or my wig is not straight, or my makeup is off, or my house isn't tidy, then if I'm showing you the great things about me all the time, am I really allowing you to be your authentic selves? And so you need to be able to ask yourself, if you're not showing up authentically each and every day, are you allowing individuals to give you what you really need? right? So when I decided to remove all the mask and forget all about that and just show up as me, even in my job, I remember when I went for this interview, I said, you know what? I had braided my hair because I was unwell and I didn't want to go through like combing my hair and whatever, and I had my hair braided and I was called for the interview, and I remember saying to my friend, "Oh my God, I have an interview and I have braids." And she said, "Are you going to be wearing braids?" And I'm like, "Yep, I'm going to show up just as I am." I got the job. I showed up. I was very comfortable because this is how I can be at times. There are going to be times when I'm going to be walking into the office with braids in my hair. So when I shredded the mask that I was wearing, what I actually found is that I was filled with creative energy. It turned out that all the pretending, I found it to be quite exhausting. And when I stopped trying to be who I thought other people wanted me to be, or who I was supposed to be, or what that other coach was doing or that other person was doing, it was like my soul just plunged into just a current of, electricity, of energy, of freedom. I started to write more. I started to show up more. I started to share more. And even though I had to shed a lot of things, even though I lost friends along the way. I lost people along the way. Reconnecting with my truth was new. It was an exciting adventure. It was like a coming home session for me, right? And so I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to exhaust myself anymore. And what I want for you is that you will feel the same way. But it starts with a sense of believing. It starts with a sense of believing that just as you are enough. So you may not have every single thing that you need to get you to the next level, right? But you're fully equipped to handle what comes your way, and you're fully equipped with the strategies. You're fully equipped deep down in your soul. Your soul will always know what you need. So you may not get to the end, but you're always equipped to just take the small steps to get you to the next level. See, we have excelled so much at wearing masks that we're fooling our friends, we're fooling our colleagues, we're fooling our loved ones. And the sad thing is that we even fool ourselves. So we wear these masks to avoid expressing who we are, to avoid expressing what we truly want, because we want to fit in, because we want to gain approval, and most importantly, we want to minimize conflict. We often wear masks to put the impression or illusion of the perfect life, that you're in the right job, or you're having the right occupation, or you're driving the right car, or you're in the right house, or you have the right partner, the right spouse, the right clothing on, and so on. And so we hide behind labels, we hide behind titles, we hide behind money. Just talking about it for me is exhausting. Our real identity is covered up by the false identity of possession, of roles, of actions. And so, my hope for you is that you will remove the mask that you're wearing and just become who you were actually created to be. Because what I would hate to happen is that one day you show up and your mask falls off, right? And it may take time. It may take several life changing experiences to help you realize that it is time to remove your mask. And after wearing so many different masks for so many years, it's not easy to connect with your true self, right? And importantly, to express your true self in the company of others. So it may take continued effort to heal your past dramas and traumas until you're ready to move on, until you're ready to live mask free, until you're ready to live a more authentic life. But knowing yourself, like I mentioned before, is the beginning of wisdom. Knowing yourselves, understanding the deeper motivation. So, taking the time to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I feel the need that I need to wear a mask every day? And then ask yourself, what would happen if I were to remove the mask? You will realize that what would really happen is that you would definitely be in alignment with who you were called to be and the things that you were you're wanting, the things that you're desiring. And so I ask you, I implore you to start working on removing the mask, trade the lies that you're telling yourself, right? You're telling yourself that you're not powerful without the mask. You're telling yourself that if you're not wearing or showing that you are wearing designer labels daily, that the people that you want to be in your life will not embrace you. And if they don't embrace you, it means that these people were not meant for you. You're telling yourself that you have to pretend to be someone else. But ask yourself, how exhausting is it for you? Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of pretending? Aren't you tired of showing up as someone else? Aren't you tired of not asking for help? Aren't you tired of not being who you really want to be, right? And one of the things we need to understand is that once you start putting your mask away, because I know you have so many of them, you'll realize that what other people are thinking about you truly, truly, truly does not define you. That you have the power without your mask to be whomever you choose to be whomever God has called you to be. How will you be defined without your mask? And my definition for you is that you're created in the image and likeness of God, which means that you're a being with unlimited potential. And so, in my very first podcast, I'm going to be ending shortly. I want you to walk away with the thoughts that you don't have to hide behind the mask. You don't have to be wearing a mask. You can show up just as you are, because as you are happens to be enough. So thank you so much for taking the opportunity to join me. I am super excited that I did it. I know I may have done some rambling, but guess what? I will get better at this. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, but I've taken the first step and I've shown up as me tonight authentically. Bye for now. Talk soon.